In the grand tapestry of existence, a singular narrative unfolds, a story that begins not with us, but with a voice that spoke light into darkness and sculpted the cosmos from nothing. This is the story that has echoed through millennia, shaping civilizations and offering a profound sense of purpose. It starts in a garden, a world of perfect communion, where humanity walked with its creator in the cool of the day, but a shadow fell upon this idyllic scene. A whisper of doubt, a serpent's lie, and a single act of disobedience fractured that perfect relationship, introducing sin and separation into the world. In that moment of profound loss, as humanity was exiled from paradise, a promise was made, a glimmer of hope in the encroaching darkness. A Redeemer would come, one who would crush the serpent's head and restore what was broken. The threads of this promise are woven throughout the Old Testament, beginning with a man named Abraham, who was called to look up at the star-filled night sky and believe in a future he could not see. Through him, God forged a covenant, promising a great nation that would be a blessing to the entire world. Generations later, this nation, the Israelites, found themselves enslaved in Egypt, yet the promise held. A leader named Moses arose, parting the sea and leading his people to freedom. On the rugged slopes of Mount Sinai, God gave them the law, a framework for how to live in community and in right relationship with Him. The story continued through the rise and fall of kingdoms, from the shepherd king David, a man after God's own heart, to the construction of Solomon's magnificent temple, a physical symbol of God's presence among His people. And when the nation strayed, prophets emerged, bold voices calling for repentance and reminding them of the coming king who would establish an everlasting kingdom. The world held its breath, and then, in the fullness of time, the promise was fulfilled in the most unexpected way. The New Testament opens with the Incarnation, God Himself becoming human in the person of Jesus. He was born in a humble manger, yet angels announced His arrival. His ministry was one of radical love and authority. He healed the sick, gave sight to the blind, and taught with parables that turned the world's wisdom upside down. He was the fulfillment of every prophecy, the living embodiment of God's covenant love. This journey led to a cross, the place of ultimate sacrifice where Jesus took the full weight of humanity's sin upon Himself. But the story did not end in a tomb. 3 days later, He rose in triumphant resurrection, conquering death and offering forgiveness and new life to all who would believe. Empowered by His Spirit, His apostles, the early church, began to spread this gospel to the ends of the earth. This grand narrative, however, is not yet complete. It looks forward to a final, glorious chapter described in Revelation. The story culminates in the promise of the second coming, when Christ will return not as a humble servant but as the victorious King. This final act is not one of destruction but of ultimate recreation. It is the vision of a new heaven and a new earth, where all pain, sorrow, and separation are wiped away. This is the consummation of all things, the final restoration where believers will dwell with God forever, their relationship perfectly healed. From a garden lost to a city restored, this is the enduring story of redemption, a narrative that invites each of us to find our place within its pages and to look forward, with unwavering hope, to its breathtaking conclusion.